What's up, 2 and 6? Welcome back to another episode. Bit of a different episode today. As you see, we have someone down on the bottom of the screen. That's not Paul. We've got ourselves the one and only Brown Spider. Sir, how we doing?
Fabulous. Happy Sunday. A Sunday without football, but we only got 10 more Sundays to go.
Isn't
Sir.
that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Let's just go ahead and start off with a bit of an introduction. Who is the
Okay.
Brown Spider?
Oh, well, man, I'm a native Clevelander, kind of. I was born in West Africa, but I grew up in Cleveland. Um, Went to Collinwood High School, so I'm an East Sider. Spent about 20 years in North Carolina. When I got out of school, I went to North Carolina State. Um, then I came back to Cleveland in '05. Went to nursing school. I've been working as a nurse at the Cleveland VA Medical Center since 2010. And, that's what I do besides go to Browns games.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and start this off here. So I guess around what time did you start getting your following on Twitter?
Oh, well, it grew slowly over a period of time starting, I want to say 2019.
Okay.
I started traveling the games in 2018. And I came up with the Brown Spider stuff in 2019 before the season started, and just started following Browns fans. It wasn't. It was actually kind of a thought experiment. My son's in the music business, and I was talking to him about using social media for marketing and stuff.
Right.
And I was on Twitter, but I wasn't. I had a Twitter account, but I wasn't using it. And it was, Twitter is different from Facebook and Instagram in terms of how engagement happens. So I decided to just shrink the engagement to pretty much Brown stuff exclusively. Started following all the Browns fans, that I could find on Twitter, and it just kind of went from there.
No, that's
Okay, I
awesome.
mean,
Yeah, that's what we started to
Go ahead,
notice
Ken.
that too. That Twitter is definitely the spot for engagement. So we definitely understand that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess to kind of, go off of that, what kind of started the spider the spider theme for you?
Well, Spider-Man's been stuck in my head since the early '70s. I used to come home from school, elementary school, and watch the 1967 Spider-Man. Everybody knows the theme song, does whatever a spider can, and that was my stuff, man. And I'm not ashamed to say, as a 57-year-old man, I still periodically have dreams of doing Spider-Man stuff, climbing up walls, swinging. I'll be sitting in a parking lot waiting or something. I'll look up at a building and be like, shooting webs and shit. So that's my thing, And when I was working on a residential rehab unit at the Cleveland VA, and I had all these Spider-Man T-shirts. And in psych nursing, you wear regular clothing to work. You don't wear scrubs. So I would always wear Spider-Man T-shirts. The veterans would call me Spider-Man. And I mentioned 2018 was when I first started traveling. We were watching a football game one Sunday there in what they call the day room, where the veterans hang out and watch TV and eat snacks. And I just mentioned, hey, I'm going to Oakland next week for the game, and which was my first away game.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys said, well, we'll look for you on TV. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to wear a Spider-Man mask and maybe the camera will find me. So I ordered a Spider-Man mask off Amazon, and I went to the game wearing that. And it was interesting because Oakland, there's a lot of Mexican Americans.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, not today, Spider-Man, But it was real cool. And that's how the sort of Spider-Man thing started. And then before the next year, I came up with the brown and orange get up, and instead of a mask, with the goggles, so I could drink at tailgates. And, that's kind of how that thing started.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's awesome.
I guess just bouncing off of that, just a quick little what is your favorite away stadium that you've been to? Since you said Oakland was your first one, so I'm assuming you've been to a decent amount of them. We saw you on TV in Baltimore, so I know you've been there.
I've been to Baltimore a couple of times. My favorite was Minnesota.
Oh, okay, nice.
Just the architecture, man. It's totally domed in, but like half of the roof is glass, so it looks like you're outside, like the natural light.
That's cool.
One side of it comes to a peak. It's shaped like a Viking ship, and they have these doors that go from the ground all the way up to the top on the highest end of the stadium. And at the end of the game, they just turn them like this, and people just easy, egress out of the stadium. It's a really fabulous stadium. They say that, or I read a couple of times in different articles that the Haslams, when they visited Minnesota, they were so blown away that they sort of start working with that architect in terms of what they're going to do with the new stadium here. So,
Yeah,
and they made
cool.
it snow. They made it snow inside the stadium.
Really?
Yeah, like artificial snow. It's like, I was like, what the fuck is this? It's
That's pretty
here.
cool. That's pretty cool.
So this is a really cool stadium. Yeah.
All right, so obviously your following on Twitter is rather large. I was just curious, who is your highest profile follow that you have?
Oh, well, nobody follows me that's famous outside of Brown stuff, but Joe Thomas follows me.
That's pretty cool.
He's engaged with me a couple of times. I just see him post something and say, like, he's like a big keto diet fan. And we were talking about some keto bread one time and just different stuff.
Right.
But Joe follows me. Bernie follows everybody. He's cool.
Yeah, I've got Bernie.
Yeah, me too.
Josh Cribbs followed me. That was real cool when he reached out to me to be on his podcast with him and Maria. So that was cool. I think those are probably most famous three. Eric Metcalf followed me. I think I met Eric a couple of times at away games, and he knows my son because my son parks cars at the Aloft.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Down in the flat, and he runs into my son often. I said, "You know that guy?" He said, "Yeah, that motherfucker's always asleep." But yeah, so those guys, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I guess kind of to lead off of that, what do you like most about like the Browns Twitter community? All the interactions, and I mean, like Kevin said, and as we all see, you got a large following on there. So,
well, the coolest thing, man, has been meeting people in person. At first, in any online community, like I was on what eventually became the Orange and Brown Report, the OBR. I was on that forum for probably since '99. So I knew guys just from on there. You get to know people over the years, but I never met anyone in person. But going to Browns games and meeting people, and they say, "Oh man, I follow you on Twitter," and then I've gotten to meet, become friends with a lot of guys that I initially met on Twitter. At games, especially home games and away games. So that's been cool. That's probably the best thing I like about it.
That's cool. Goodness, I had a burp coming up, but I decided not to make itself present. So have you had any? Obviously, there's a lot of trolls on there. I haven't had on the podcast account that is. Hey, we haven't had any bad interactions on there, but you've got a lot more followers than we do. So have you had like any bad interactions that are just strictly because of Twitter? And then also like after that, like what are some like good interactions that have happened because of Twitter?
Oh well, bad interaction. Like you say, they're trolls. The Baker Deshaun thing really brought out the worst in some people. I really tried to do my best to keep it on football, keep it civil.
Right.
There was one guy though, man, and I cannot remember his Twitter handle, but he just started to go off on the deep end, man, and he started like he actually got me banned off Twitter for like, but he was going after accounts like, and he would say, "Oh, I got the spider down. Who's next?" And he would just, and he eventually got banned. But he was really, I mean, I thought this guy's kind of mentally unstable here. He was really off the deep end. But for the most part, man, I blocked some people. Not often. I block people. But sometimes if someone is some people have a troll-like personality. Okay, that's fine. But some people are literally just actively trolling,
Mm-hmm.
And so I block some folks like that. And what was the second part of the question?
And then just some positive interactions that have come like because of Twitter. Like, have you been like gifted anything? Have you been given anything? Just anything that stands out.
Well, first of all, positive interactions. I talked about meeting lots of people.
Yeah, right.
Slim Dog, Fleazy, Dirt Dog. We ran into each other. First Lady. We ran into each other at a couple of away games, and then we ended up sort of proactively, planning to get together at a game. So at Indy, we all sort of hung out the whole weekend together. Me and Fleazy ended up on TV. We were so inebriated in that game. And Mailman, what's his thing? Bingo Lingo.
Oh man,
we were trash. So we were towards the end of the game. They were driving toward the end zone where we were at, and they're gonna score. We're gonna win it down here. I was like, "Come on, Fleazy. I see some seats closer." We were like row 7 or 8. There's some on row 3. We went down. Oh, there's a couple more. We got down to row 1. In the end zone, we got high-fived by a couple players at the end of the game. So
nice.
But so I've just met so many people, made actual friends. First Lady ended up, we ended up dating and stuff like that. So so I got a girlfriend off Twitter.
There you go. Hey, that's the best present. Absolutely.
But it happened. So, and it's lovely. Gifted, the best thing I've been gifted. I've got them. Well, I'll tell you what. First thing, my man lives in Connecticut, and ran into him at a couple of games. Oh man, what's this dude's name? Ryan Crowley. Ryan, he introduced me to his mom. He introduced me to his dad. Traveling from Connecticut, his mom gave me a gift. She gave me 2 things actually. One was like a koozie, but it's orange and it's got spider webs on it.
That's
so
cool.
I keep that in my car. And she got me a donut. It was like Halloween, and it was an orange donut with a spider on it. So I couldn't keep that, so I ate it. But that's real cool. Met his parents. It's just kind of like an honor that people want you to meet their parents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't take that lightly. But the best thing I've been gifted was there's a guy, and he worked for the FBI. I think the FBI, it might have been the CIA, but I think it's the FBI. And he retired, and his best friend retired, and his friend became like head of security for the Browns. So this guy lives in Baltimore. So I was going to the last Baltimore game that we won at the end of the game, and he hit up Stefanski girl, and he said, "Hey, any of your friends on Twitter going to the game that would like sideline passes?" And she thought of me, and he hooked it up. He contacted me, gave him my phone number, and we kept missing each other, but finally got me on the phone. I was at a tailgate, came across the street to the stadium, sideline passes.
Nice.
Bro, Roger Goodell was there. Goodell, Haslam, Barry, J.W. Johnson, Sashi Brown was there. I think he's in basketball now. Okay. They were all just hobnobbing. I could have threw a rock and hit them, man. Right? They were like right there,
That's great.
So That was the coolest experience, man. All the coaches, down there, they tell you don't cross this line, don't bother the players and coaches. But that was so cool, man. Jim Stork, Brian Baldinger was down there. I was like, Baldy, what's up, baby?
Baldy, nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was a real great experience. And then we won the game sitting in there. Me and Chief Wahoo 22, we met up and we sat together there, and it was cool as hell. They were giving us hell the whole game. We were like,
you were in the end zone for that one, weren't you?
Yeah. And there were some guys, but we started coming back. I think when we got that pick six. No, that was before, there. And it was like 8 minutes left in the game, and this guy was like, check the scoreboard, bro. I'm like, bro, let's fucking go. He just kept yelling. He wouldn't shut up. Let's fucking go. Anytime he said something, I said, we got 8 minutes, like the 8 on your jersey. Let's fucking go. Man, we won that game. They were so mad.
Yeah, that was a good game. I definitely saw you on TV for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
I guess kind of like what's like the craziest or like the craziest win or I guess craziest game you've been to, in your years of being a Browns fan.
Oh man, well, the craziest game. That year, it was Hugh Jackson's last year. Was that 2018 or 2019? That was 2018.
18.
We had like 4 overtime games that year.
Yeah, we did. It was like back-to-back games. Or that was Baker's.
We won one. Oakland was an overtime game. Tampa was an overtime game. I was at those 2. Week 1 was overtime. That was a tie.
Yep.
Pittsburgh.
So those, I still think of that Oakland team.
Oh man, we got robbed.
Absolutely.
Indy was a wild game, man. Indy was crazy. That was wild as hell, yeah. And I was at the Helmet Gate game.
Oh yeah, I was at that one too. That was a good game.
Oh, man, that was the wildest thing that ever happened in my presence. Because I'm watching the ball because I see the ball come out because he threw to a screen to the flat to the running back. So I'm watching that, and my son says, "Oh shit, he hit him with the helmet." I'm like, "What?" So I actually missed the helmet thing, but I had my phone. I pulled out my phone and started. People were like, "What?" And I started showing people, So that was probably the wildest thing that happened at a game. Wildest game I've been to. We beat.
I was in the end zone for that one. That was fun because I took my dad to that game, and obviously it happened. End of the game, literally last seconds of the game. We're just watching the whole thing unfold, and all of a sudden, bam! I was like, "Oh shit, no!"
I wish he would have did a Kyle Turley, just took the helmet and threw it into the stands or some shit. He would only got suspended a few games then.
No, that was that was pretty wild. Speaking of sports memories, love that.
A year before that, there was a defensive line coach, and he was telling Miles he was too soft. He's letting people push him around and stuff like that. He kept telling Miles, you letting people go at you after the whistle and all this stuff. And then also what happened is some guy ran up and punched Miles in the face and ran away. If you remember that, it was in the newspaper. Some kid, I guess on a dare or whatever, Miles just took it on the chin or whatever. What are you going to do? So that year, you remember we played the Jets at the Jets, and Miles broke like 4 quarterbacks. They were like on their last quarterback. He kept breaking them, and they started saying Miles was dirty and stuff like that. But I think what happened was he was trying to bring out his inner mean guy,
Right.
And I'm not taking shit anymore type thing. And I think that's what led to him hitting the dude with the helmet. That's just my speculation, but
it happens. It happens. So obviously you've been a super fan for a long time. What is to your memory, your first Cleveland sports memory? Obviously, more so leaning towards Browns, but just in general, what is your first Cleveland sports memory?
Well, my first Cleveland sports memory, stick out in my mind. We used to go to Indians games all the time when I was a kid, and I didn't play baseball. Everybody in my neighborhood played, organized baseball. This is back in the '70s, but we would all catch the bus downtown to the municipal stadium. They would have bat day, they would have ball day, they would have glove day, so we would go get all the free shit. And general admission was like $3.
Damn.
You could sit in the bleachers for $1, but the bleachers were locked. So once you went in there, you couldn't leave until the end of the game. But and that's the same end zone that was the dog pound.
Mm-hmm.
But so we used to just go all the time. My earliest Browns memory actually was before I was really a fan, but the older kids in the neighborhood was arguing the quarterback controversy between Brian Sipe and Mike Fitz. And I'm like, they're like, oh, what do you think, Charlie? Man, I don't know. Just pick one. Yeah. But that's my earliest memory. I just remember that argument. Also, I remember being in church and the pastor of the church saying, well, I'm going to cut it short here because we play Pittsburgh today and I know no one wants to miss the kickoff. And I was like, wow, the Browns are bigger than Jesus in Cleveland, bro. So that, awesome. Those are my earliest memories. Yeah. No, but my first, what really got me hooked as a Browns fan was, what year was that? I think it was November or December '79. We were playing the Dolphins, and my parents were divorced, and my dad lives in California. He came into town, so he took us all to this game. And the game went into overtime, and we won on a touchdown pass over the shoulder from Brian Sipe to Reggie Rucker, right? So back then, you couldn't see highlights or anything till the 11 o'clock news.
Right.
So we're at, I'm watching the 11 o'clock news. Maybe it was the 6 o'clock news if it was the afternoon game. Probably was the afternoon game. And Reggie Rucker in the locker room interview said, well, I couldn't see the ball, but I heard the crowd roar. And so that's when I looked back and I caught the ball over the shoulder. And in my 12-year-old mind, I was like, oh, wow, I had something to do with that.
Absolutely.
W, and that's when I got hooked, And then Cardiac Kids, they were easy to love, 79 and 80. And so that's really when I got hooked into the Browns back then.
That's awesome. That's a good one for sure.
Yeah, I guess, to, build off, your memories for, the Browns and whatnot. Who's been your favorite Cleveland Browns player, throughout the years?
Oh, man. There's been so many over the years, man. When I was coming up, Greg Pruitt was the man. Everybody loved Greg Pruitt. And that's back when they had tearaway jerseys. Pruitt wore them. Who's it? Tyler Rose, 34, Houston Oilers. He was a battering ram. Oh, you guys are spring chickens. You remember Earl Campbell? Earl Campbell wore, tearaway jerseys. They wore them in college. But so what we would do, we would take, just your white T-shirts, undershirts, and we would wash them in bleach, like heavy bleach to make them real weak. And so that when we were playing football out in the park, you have a tearaway jersey like Greg Pruitt.
That's awesome.
So Greg Pruitt back then, there's been so many over the years. You got Joe Thomas, you got Miles, obviously Cribbs. We had nothing to root for, but Cribbs.
But a kick returner, literally.
And Phil Dawson. It was Phil Dawson and Cribbs, right?
Yeah.
That was it. But you look back, man. Tim Couch is easy to root for in retrospect. We realized how terrible the team was. And after his career ended, he said he'd watched every Browns game pretty much since his career ended, and for him to come back in town and stuff. So I got an old Couch jersey. William Green. He was a great story, after his career ended because, all the stuff with his girlfriend stabbing him in his back with a steak knife and But reading his story, you guys may or may not remember, he had a really bad upbringing. I think both of his parents died of AIDS.
Damn.
They were drug users. His brother went to prison. I think he shot somebody and went to prison. So he was like, I'm going to pour myself into football. If I make it to the NFL, all my problems will be solved. But when he got there, all his problems weren't solved. Just mental, emotional stuff,
Yeah.
And that's when things started to fall apart for him. But after he retired, he got his stuff together. He's got like 6, 7 kids. He's got a big giant band. He takes them around and he does motivational speaking and stuff like that. So, you like to see that, after their career, if they had a bad situation, that they got their stuff together. He really did. And, of course, the great call from Jim Donovan, run, William, run, that was awesome.
Jimmy
So,
D,
yeah.
the best in sports to do it, man.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man,
Absolutely blessed to have Jim Donovan.
I
I just
was
one last
living in
question
North
for you.
Carolina for 20 years.
Yeah.
And when the Browns came back in '99, it was almost never on TV unless it was a primetime game. But I found a station in Rochester, New York. It was WYSL, and they had an online stream of the Browns games. So Jim Donovan and Doug Deacon, man, were that was it for me, man. I just sit there and listen to the games every Sunday. So definitely, man, he's the voice of the Browns for me for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's go around the helm real quick, and then we'll close this off. What do we think? What are we getting record predictions this year? We'll start off with you.
Oh man, I'm gonna go low at 12-5, baby. I think the Browns gonna win the division for the first time this year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I'm thinking Browns. I don't want to go too high. I don't want to go too low. So I'm going to stick with you and say 12. But I think we definitely have a good shot. It's a very quarterback heavy division, but we didn't get all of these weapons and all these pieces to not win the division at some point. So I think this might be it for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I think Deshaun. I was watching his podcast, him and Quincy Avery, and he was talking about the Ravens game. And he said, one of the things I learned in that game is that I don't always have to play hero ball. He said, I was hurt. My shoulder was like cracking, like I could hear it. So I couldn't really throw the deep ball. He said, if it was open, I had to take it. But for the most part, I couldn't throw the deep ball. So I'm just dinking and dunking down the field, going to Njoku and stuff. And he said, what that taught me was I don't have to always play hero ball. I don't always have to take the big shot. It's okay to matriculate down the field. And I think he's learned his lesson in terms of keeping himself healthy. Because I was watching the Tennessee game, and there was a lot of times where he took on tacklers where he didn't have to, And I think he's kind of learned, hey, I have to keep myself healthy. And it's okay not to play hero ball. It's okay to run the offense. And they're bringing in Ken Dorsey, man. They're going to go to more of the spread. He's going to be in shotgun where he's more comfortable. I give Kevin Stefanski all the credit for always being willing to bring in people who have been head coaches, people with different ideas. He doesn't have an ego, like when John Dorsey decided to hire Freddie Kitchens as the head coach, he just wanted a lapdog.
Yeah.
He just wanted someone who wouldn't argue with him, he'd just be happy to be there. But Kevin brings in people with different ideas, people who have experience, people who can challenge him. And I think definitely with Ken Dorsey, knowing that Ken's an expert in shotgun spread stuff, that he's not, So that's definitely a move I think is going to bode well for the offense. Not that our offense is sucked. With the running game, hopefully Chubb will come back sooner rather than later. But I think the running back by committee is going to be okay based on the players we have now. So
Definitely.
And the defense,
Yeah, defense speaks for itself. Jake, what do you think?
I mean, I'm liking what you guys were saying, 12-5. I think, we've brought in, the pieces that we need, but I think we play in the toughest division in football, and they're showing it on Hard Knocks for a reason this year. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm excited for that, but I mean, excited to get to many more games this year. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. You've mentioned a lot about, Deshaun, and can't play hero ball. I think we just got, I mean, we have literally all the pieces that we need, receivers, tight ends. I mean, defensively speaks for itself. So, we're in the right spot. Let's just, go win the games, win the division, make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, hope so, man. Hope so. Well, a little thing that we're going to be doing here for interviews is give the uh, guest an opportunity to get to know us. So, Mr. Brown Spider, go ahead and ask us a question.
Okay. What's your earliest Brown memories, Kevin and Jake?
Oof. Let's see here. Earliest Browns memories. I'll say it was. I'm going to go ahead and say the first game that I went to with my dad. It was Browns versus the San Diego Chargers, and it was during Hurricane Sandy. So we're sitting there in our seats with puddles of cold rain just piling up. That was miserable. We did end up getting the W, but that was yeah. AFC North football is is a tough
You're gonna
sport to
get there.
enjoy. But
What
no,
year?
that
What
was.
year was that?
Oh, man, what year was that? That was.
Who was the quarterback?
Oh, geez, who was the quarter? That was. I know. I know Shermer.
Long
I'm pretty
list.
sure Shermer was the head coach. So
Shermer.
that'll probably date a little bit. But that was a tough one. I got to see Philip Rivers play though, so that was pretty cool.
Shermer was before Butch, wasn't he?
I thought Shermer was after Butch.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a while. That was a while back. That was one of my first sports memories, just because of how cold and wet it was. But yeah, we got the W. I think it was like a. See, that was a real low scoring game. Yeah, Hurricane Sandy football was not fun football at all.
Yeah,
that was tough.
I mean, honestly, memory that I mean, not a specific memory, but like just Josh Cribbs. We kind of talked about him earlier. I mean, he was kind of like my favorite player, kind of growing up, and I mean, we know what his kick returns like, but kind of to go off of that, it's like I didn't necessarily watch watch the games on TV all the time as I grew up. Like a lot of times I'm in the car with my dad, listening to the radio, listening to Jim Donovan. So kind of like you mentioned too, like I kind of did grow up as a child listening to Jim Donovan calls. And honestly, to this day too, I'll still like pull up the radio on my phone and just like mute the TV.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. That's like the most electrifying thing in sports for me. But I mean, Josh Cribbs, I've been probably one of his biggest like fans for the longest time. Just, I mean, Kent State, and I had a lot of family that went to Kent State, so definitely, I mean, yeah, he's for sure.
Yeah. Which side of town you guys grew up on?
I grew up in Brunswick, and I'm Jake. You grew up in Brunswick too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's probably what 30 minutes south of Cleveland. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely like being in Cleveland. I like being close to everything, so it's pretty cool living out this way. Yeah, I mean, I lived downtown for 4 years, and in those 4 years, we've gotten pretty lucky with our sports being not horrible anymore. So hopefully we're getting close to pushing something over the top and getting another ring here.
Man. Guardians are looking damn good for sure.
That they are. Yeah, I've got them on my TV right now, but yeah, let's hope we can get something going with that, and maybe this year will be the new 2016. Maybe we'll have some good sports going on this year. But yeah, so as always, thank you guys for listening. Really appreciate it. Wanted to thank Brown Spider for coming on here. Really appreciate it. As always, we'll see you guys next week. Uploads on Mondays. Hopefully we'll have more shows like this, have some more interesting people on here to get you guys to, get to know them and get to know us a little bit more too. So with that being said, Jake, anything to add?
No, I mean, we appreciate you for coming on. I mean, it's been a blast. I know I followed you for, a few months now on Twitter, and, I like seeing your stuff, and, I get a good kick out of, a lot of the things that you post, and, honestly gain some knowledge too from some of your Brown stuff. So, I mean, it was a blast having you on, and, I think, well, Kevin and I definitely try to, link up in person at a game or a training camp or
Yeah, definitely.
something like that soon. So,
I think
Good deal.
some of my favorite stuff from you is when you get that little surprise cameo on TV, and I'm like, wait, holy shit, I know him. And
Oh man,
that's always so fun to look out for you. But yeah, really appreciate you coming on here, and maybe during the season we'll get you on here to talk some football and see where the Browns are at in the race. But as always, thank you guys for listening. Really appreciate it. This has been What's Up 216. We will see you next week. Peace out, guys.
peace.